Yes, let's give them another round of applause. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Gail and Paul, for another fabulous selection. I'm so happy to see everyone's face this afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you for coming out in this heat. It is definitely a scorcher. If you're joining us online, thank you. We appreciate you for being a part of our community. This community was built by you and for you. It is one of love and inclusion, and everyone here is welcome. Yes. So we will say our statement together. We are founded on principles that support the evolution of consciousness. We recognize that every human is an expression of God filled with divinity. Every gender, race, sexual identity is welcomed. So, once again, my friends, I'm going to ask that you pull out your phones, make sure you check in so everyone knows where you get your spiritual swagger.
Swagger.
Yeah.
I like that.
And while you do that, I also want to inform you that we would love for you to go onto Google and tell us about your experiences here with us at Celebration of Spirit. Make sure you tell your friends about us. Share our lessons, share our page as well on Facebook. We would love that. Thank you. So, August 27th and September the 3rd, right after church services at 4:15 p.m., we're going to have a grief and loss circle where we talk about a subject that is rarely spoken about. I know a lot of us have dealt with that since COVID started, even before then. And so it would be an opportunity for us to come together, share our stories, and also know that we're not alone in our struggles. We're not alone in the way that we feel. And a few Sundays ago, Reverend Cherie asked us to raise our hands for people who had lost someone within 3 years, and I was just shocked. Sometimes we think we're alone. I lost about 5 people in 2020, with 1 year. So I can 100% relate to that. So I would love to see your faces there during that circle. And I'm sure all of you know, if you watch the news, what is happening in Maui right now as we speak. A lot of people have lost their homes, their lives, and they need our help and our support as well. So these organizations right here were listed by Chaplain Becca to make a difference. So if you feel like supporting, give what's in your heart to give. If you don't write this down or take a picture of it, you can also go online and we'll have it on our Facebook page as well. We donated $300 of July's tithing to aid in Maui. We also did $300 is going to the Uprising Church to honor Gay Pride Month, and $142 for Benevolence Fund. Welcome. So we're going to do the opening prayer with Renee Schwartz, please.
Thank you, beautiful shining star Michelle, for illuminating our presence today.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Who could use a prayer out in the audience? Raise your hand. Anybody use a prayer? Awesome. I think everybody here, and I even see some people raising their hand through the camera online. So let's take a moment and just connect together. Please feel free to close your eyes if you'd like, and just take a big deep breath and let all of the worries of the world out. Let's connect together, heart to heart to heart here. And there are some really big hearts in this church, I know. Dearest Creator, Mother, Father, God, those we know you of many, many names, we come before you beyond words as we connect with our hearts to you as our divine Creator, supporting that divinity on earth, connecting with one another every day. Thank you for this day, as we will never have it again. With sincerest gratitude, thank you for the moment that we have here together. Thank you for every blessing that you've ever given us and those that are on the horizon, just a moment away. Thank you for our loved ones, our families, our friends, and for every human being on this earth, for we are all truly connected through you, God. Our hearts go out to all of those adversely affected through the fires in Hawaii and the fires that have been raging throughout the country as well. Anyone adversely affected by climate adversities, our heart is with you and our prayers. Thank you for the new day that is on the horizon, God, as we know that it is coming fast and forward. We will be here to greet that dawn with an open heart and an open spirit of connecting together once again with you and through you. And so it is. Amen.
Just the beginning, there's so much more God has in store. Just the beginning, it's not the end. This is just the overture. Just the beginning, I know you're blessed, but you still haven't seen God's best. Not yet. I already know God's been good to you. I already know God
thank you. Oh my goodness. I love being here with you. I love listening to the music and the vocals. I love the hugs that I share with each of you, and I love being on the journey with you. So thank you for that.
We love you.
Thank you. So, prices come again? What? When did that happen? Well, we're going to be talking about that today. So I hope that you've got your listening ears on, because we're going to take a deep dive today. But before we do, I'm going to start off a little light. I'm going to do a joke. Are you ready? Let's see how that goes. All right, so there was this guy. He cracked the code on time travel. And so he time travels from 2023 to 2200. And when he time travels, he finds himself in an office with this guy. We'll call him Future Guy. And he looks at him and he's like, so has the earth been decimated? Because where I was, there was pollution, there was war, there was poverty, there was consumerism going on. And the Future Guy looks at him like he's kind of crazy and goes, no, the earth is thriving. There is enough for everyone. And the ecosystem is healthy and balanced. Well, the time traveler's a little like flummoxed by that, so he says, oh, did Jesus come again? And Future Guy goes, yeah, he did. He came, took all the Christians with him, and now we all live in harmony and peace. I heard that joke and I just screamed. And Rick's like, you've got to tell that joke. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. So I'm glad that your sense of humor is here. Thank you. So the second coming, there are a lot of aspects with the second coming, isn't there? And there's lots of novels and movies and series about the second coming, which helps to confuse us all.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of deconstruct a little bit and look at what's in the ether. How many of you remember the book series Left Behind?
Yes.
Did you read it?
Yes.
Okay. Seeing some hands, yeah. My mom was obsessed with the Left Behind series. She had every one of them. And as they came in and she finished, she's like, I got one for you, Shar. Here you go. Probably by the third one, I was like, I know where this is going. So we're good. They published their first one in 1995. And they wrote 16 novels. And then there were other kind of spin-offs and things. But it was really popular because the two, that was co-authored by Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins. And they had this knack of really kind of getting into our heads about what we think the second coming would look like and all the events. And they were very descriptive. And I think that they really tapped into the collective consciousness around Christian theology and dogma. So, what kinds of things, when you think of the second coming, what other events comes to mind?
Antichrist.
The Antichrist, yes. What else?
The rapture.
The rapture, yes.
The evil church.
The evil church. You gotta say it that way, you can't just say evil church. The mark of the beast. Okay, yes. 666, yes. All right.
Miracles. Course of Miracles. We'll all wake up.
We'll all wake up. Beautiful, yes. All right. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the rapture. Okay? How many of you were explained what the rapture is? Okay, so what is the rapture?
They come and get you. Christ comes and grabs all the Christians home.
Christ comes and grabs all the Christians home. James.
And people who haven't repented go somewhere. It's not hell, but it's the fiery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and those who are not of the Christ,
Right.
too bad for them, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And the
all right.
raising of the dead.
The raising of the dead, beautiful. Yes, yes. All right, so we'll start there because there was lots, didn't you hear lots of pieces there? So what the Left Behind series was really about Christian eschatology. And basically that word just means last things, last things. So it's all about the end times. So when we look at the end times, the rapture is one of those things that are supposed to occur, right? And so it is a calling up, whether you are alive or dead. It's Jesus calling everyone up to the heavens to be with him, okay? That's the rapture. Now, do you know when this happens? No? Okay. Well, there's three theories, so I'll give you all three. Some people believe the rapture happens right before the time of tribulation. Some folks believe that it happens at the end of tribulations. And tribulations is like the big good versus evil war. And then some people think that there'll be two of them, one before and one after the tribulation. Okay? So it's a lot to play around with. I do want to tell you that, and it really does depend on the sect of Christianity, which one of those it's going to fit. So I want to mention that in the Bible, the rapture is not used as a term. Okay? So if you were to look in the Bible verses, there's no mention of the rapture. But what it does have is, it has this verse, and it's a letter from Paul, 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 16 and 17. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the archangel's call, and with the sound of the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we, who are alive, who are left, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So we shall always be with the Lord. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So if you were taught that the Bible is literal, what would you think?
We're all going to heaven.
We're all going to heaven, right? There's going to be this uplift that happens. Oh, with the choir, the angels chorus, of course, as well. Okay, so that's if we look at that literally. But we know a little different, don't we? We have to understand what was going on during that time, right? What's the context? Why and who is writing? When are they writing? What's going on in society during that time? So this is 1 Thessalonians. So one of the churches that the Apostle Paul developed was in Thessalonica, right? And you know, if you have been following me, there's lots of letters that Paul are writing to his church communities because he hears through the grapevine, ooh, stuff's going on. And so he writes to encourage, to uplift, and to course correct, right? That's the role. So this letter was written around 50 CE, 50 CE. Okay, so this is 20 years after Jesus' death. Okay? And what the issue here is that everyone was waiting for Jesus to return. During this time, did you hear 50 CE? They're all waiting for Jesus' return. And now, some of their beloveds are dying. Maybe their mom or dad, maybe a good friend. They're all dying before Jesus' return. Not only that, they've stopped working. Would you be working if you knew the end was near?
No.
Right? So they weren't working either. So Paul figures, uh-oh, I got a problem. I've got to deal with this. And this is where now this letter comes into play. So his goal here was to remind them that all is not lost. All is not lost. His goal is to inspire and uplift and hopefully get them back to working again, right? But you notice like on 17, verse 17 there, then we who are alive, he still expected Jesus to come in his lifetime. Hear that. He was going to be lifted up. But what's the question he couldn't answer? When? When was Jesus coming again? Now, there's also a second letter called 2 Thessalonians that's attributed to Paul. However, it wasn't Paul that wrote it, more than likely, because 2 Thessalonians was written around the turn of the century, so 95, 96 CE. And theologians believe that it was a disciple of Paul that wrote the letter. Overall, there are probably about 13, 14 books or letters that are attributed to the Apostle Paul, but theologians think there are really only about 7 of them. So it's 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, 1 Thessalonians, Galatians,
Ephesians,
no, Roman, thank you, Philemon, and Philippia. Okay? So just be aware that during this time, if someone wanted people to take it seriously, they would use someone in authority as the author of the book. With me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Now, in the second letter of Thessalonians is the first time that we're hearing about the beast. The beast. Dum, dum, dum. The beast. So the beast really was spoken about in code, right? You know, St. John did a lot of visions and writing, and also he did the book of Revelation. And they couldn't really just say, this is about Nero, right? Because they would be crucified or killed in some other way. So they used a lot of symbolism. And how they got here is because of the Jewish tradition from Daniel's. This is called apocalyptic writing. And in the Hebrew Bible, Daniel talks about the big persecutor, right? And for them, it was the ruler of Palestine. That was it. And the book of Daniel was written in 167 BCE, before the birth of Christ, or before the Common Era. I'd have to keep going back and forth on that. So for Paul and John, who were their beasts? The Romans, right? The Roman emperors. So it starts off with Nero, then it goes into Vespasian, and then it goes to Titus, right? Those were the enemy. Now, what do we call the beast here in modern times? What do we call it? The Antichrist. Yeah, the Antichrist. So when we talk about apocalyptic writing, I want you to be just aware of how scary this can feel when you're reading it. How many of you have read Revelation? Is that a light read? No, it's not a light read, is it?
Why nobody read it?
And if you were taught, like I was taught, about the inerrancy of the Bible, like the Bible is perfect, right? And it's a literal interpretation, and you're going to Catholic school like I was, sweating bricks reading that. Terrified of like, what do I have to do so that I can either be up in the clouds or I'm like there with 1,000 years of peace? Anybody relate? Yeah. But it's apocalyptic writing, and this is a normal kind of device used with the writers of the time. So even with the symbolism and how dark it is, they're really trying to inspire. They're trying to inspire by saying, even with all of this stuff that happens, God and good will prevail. God's got this. So there's the inspiration. All right, so let's look at what the term apocalyptic writing says. This is from theologian that made a definition of apocalyptic writings. It's a type of biblical literature that emphasizes the lifting of the veil between heaven and earth, the revelation of God and his plan for the world. Apocalyptic writings are marked by distinctive literary features, particularly prediction of future events and accounts of visionary experiences or journeys to heaven, often involving vivid symbolism. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So apocalyptic writing is a lift to inspire, but also terrifies you into compliance. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. So throughout the years, this is kind of, everybody's been waiting for Jesus to come again. So we're going to fast forward in time. We're going to fast forward in time until the early 18th century. And we have a great spiritual awakening in the early 18th century here in the U.S. And then we have a second great awakening, which is the late 1800s, early 1900s. Notice this is happening at the turn of,
The century.
Notice that, right? So in each of those waves, there was this push that Jesus was coming, and it was coming very shortly. Even to the point where there was this man who said the second coming would happen in 1843. And his name was William Miller. So the date came, kind of made a little fudge. I miscalculated the right timing, sets another date. The date comes and goes. Oh, Jesus. You know. But believe it or not, the folks stuck with him and it became the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I'm just not a pretty face. Okay, so I want to talk about the recent spikes that we're having as far as this prediction that Jesus is coming. Like, go back in your memory for a while. The Cold War. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Jesus was coming. Why? Why was that happening?
Because it was these wars.
Right. We were on the brink of destruction because we could have a nuclear war at any point. What do you think happened in the year 2000?
Oh, my God.
Y2K, bing bing, yes. Y2K. And then also that Left Behind series. Remember I said it started writing in 1995. Turn of the millennia there, right? So now it's like really up in consciousness. Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. When do you think the next one was?
2012.
Twin Towers.
Who said 2012? Yes, Carolyn. 2012, why? The Mayan calendar. Remember there was a buzz? There's no more dates after the Mayan calendar. This is it. This is it, right? How many people went out and bought like the end of the world, like survival kits?
I bought
Right?
a t-shirt.
You bought a t-shirt? I love you hard, man. I love you hard. You saw the movie. Okay, and then when do you think the next one was? COVID. COVID. It's a pandemic, of course. Yeah. And if you've dealt with Revelation, you're thinking, it's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Remember in the story? Like plagues were going to be coming? So we're now like, Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. All right. So I'm just bringing your mind to what happens, right? Turn of the centuries. Something cataclysmic happens. Okay. Let's talk about Judgment Day. What do you know about Judgment Day?
Scary. It's every day.
It's every day. Did you say it's every day? Yes, you did. It's every day. Wow. Yeah, I like that. We can metaphysic that one really well. It's every day. Okay, so Judgment Day. It is when everyone is judged, living or dead. They're judged. Good go where?
Heaven.
Bad go?
Hell.
Right. And this is part of the requirement for the second coming of the Christ, this last judgment day. Now, I want us to be really clear that there is a difference between the rapture and the second coming, right? The rapture is the raising the people up, right? The spirits up, living or dead. And then the second coming is Jesus comes to earth, right? And then we're supposed to have that 1,000 years of peace, right? So I just want you to be aware of what the theology is. Because if you don't know, how do you have a conversation? How do you challenge the belief, right? Okay, now, supposedly, when the rapture happens, it starts the season of tribulation, right? And it's supposed to be 7 years. And who leads this tribulation? The Antichrist, yes. Powered by Satan, yes. Stay tuned, we'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks. Okay, that was the plug. Right? And then after that, what happens? The 7 years, tribulation, what happens towards the end of that? There's a war! Armageddon! Armageddon! So Armageddon simply means the hill of Megiddo. That's what it means. And for a lot of years, it was a strategic point of many wars. So it makes sense that that would be the B-roll film for this epic adventure, right? Okay, so just be aware that Armageddon is only mentioned once in the Bible, and that's Revelation 16:16. Okay, so I'm going to go on an aside for a moment. Ernest Holmes, who's Ernest Holmes? Religious science, science of mind, yes. He defines the Antichrist as someone who knows spiritual laws but chooses to use them for destruction. Isn't that powerful?
Yeah.
Now that's the direction we're moving into.
Yeah.
So my question then was, Jesus apocalyptic? I talked about all these writings, right? That this was kind of the writing of that period of time. So did Jesus believe in end times? Mixed reviews on this one. So you can find sayings attributed to Jesus saying about ushering God in, right? God coming again. But I did some digging on this, and there is a group of theologians that dedicated several years to understanding what did Christ probably and did say. It was known as the Jesus Seminar. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Yeah. It was a group of scholarly theologians, and they started in 1985 to 1991. And they had this weird process about red balls, pink balls, gray balls, black balls. Red was, more than likely, yes, Jesus said that. Pink, could go either way. Gray, probably not. And the black was no, he didn't say it. And so they put out a report then, after all these years of study, that said the things attributed to Jesus, he probably said 20% of them. 20%.
Yikes.
Yeah. When they did this study, what they also did is they didn't want to only use canon scriptures, right? They wanted to go as early as possible, so they went up to 0 to 300 years to look at what were the testimonies, what was other things written during that time period. And so, for them, canon texts, which is what's in our Bibles, are texts that's been approved by church leaders, right? And in that day, there was just the church, which has become known really as the Catholic Church, right? And it's a really interesting process when you do this. So this article is from John Dart, and is from the LA Times. And he says, seminar fellows, however, years ago voted down the apocalyptic voice of Jesus when he is quoted as saying he will return someday amid tumult and turmoil. Scholars felt that the doom-saying words were put on his lips to bolster the hopes of gospel writers and their churches about 30 to 60 years after Jesus' lifetime. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
So the first gospel was written around 70 CE, and that's Mark. Mark is the first gospel. And then Matthew and Luke kind of took a lot of stuff from Mark and filled out, and that was written 80 CE, those two gospels, Matthew and Luke. The second Thessalonians that I said was not Paul's was written around 85 CE. And then Revelations and things from John, like 95, 96 CE. So are you seeing the gaps here?
Yes.
You're seeing the creative writing that's happening with the church fathers who are creating rules and dogma, right? Of how people need to be with God. And if you want to be with God and you believe what they're saying, then they have you, don't they? So this is the time, my friends, for you to do your own research. You know, is what the ref's saying bull hockey? Or are there studies done on this? Because there are. And the reason that we are doing this work is so that you get clear on what and who is God to you. Right? Because if we're on this spiritual journey, saying that God is within us, and we are all powerful, but there is this tiny voice inside of us that says, I need to say the magic phrase to be saved. Or I have to do confession to be saved. Then you're not in authenticity. You're split. So I'm just having these discussions with you so that you are living the question and discerning what's true. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down. Remember, when was this written?
50.
Okay, the first one was 50, is the second that was 96, 97. Yes. And what was going on when this was written? They weren't working, and?
They were waiting.
Yes, the Romans were persecuting and they were waiting for Christ to come back, yes. Okay, so that's why this letter existed. And so, you know, what I like to do now is I like to metaphysically break it down. So I use the Revealing Word, and I use the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and then I use, you know, some of my own intuition and guidance when I do this work. So The red comes from either Revealing Word or the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and then the blue would be just mine. So I'm just going to give you a minute to look at that. So for Lord, it can be the activity of the I Am, it can be Christ's mind, divine consciousness, all of those things are the same. And then we get here. The activity of the I Am will descend from the realm of divine mind with a cry of command, with spiritual thoughts, call, and with waves of harmonious energy of absolute good. And those who die believing in the perfect idea of God will awaken. And then we who are of the Christ, who are left, shall be caught up together with them in spiritual understanding, to remember our divine consciousness in the breath of God. And so we shall always be with the Christ mind.
Yes.
Very different, isn't it? Yeah. So that's our work to do, my loves. Right? We talk about not literal interpretation. Why do we do that? Because we have to understand what the context is. What was going on in that culture? What was the intention of the writer? We have to do that to really understand why they would say the weird things that they said. Because some of it's really weird. Okay. So, this is from Charles Fillmore. I thought it's really beautiful. This is the first and second coming of Christ, spoken of in the scriptures. The first coming is the receiving of truth into the conscious mind. And the second coming is the awakening and regeneration of the subconscious mind through Christ's mind. That's why we're doing the work that we're doing, my friends. That's why we're on this spiritual journey. To really get that at our core we are divinity. And we are here for a higher purpose.
Yes.
So I know that this was probably the most difficult conversation that we've had together.
Yeah.
But I really hope that it gives you a foundation to be in the question of what do you really believe. This will also set us up really nicely for next week, where we're going to be talking about, is there life after death? Okay? Yeah, we're going there. Okay. Can I invite you to please do the song for meditation? Trust in you. Yes. Wow, you guys are just beautiful and brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to do a little meditation if you're willing. All right, find your comfortable spot. Just allow your spine to be erect so that the energy can flow through and as you. If you're willing, you may close your eyes and take a nice deep cleansing breath in together and exhale, relaxing into this moment, this beautiful moment like none other. This is your time, your space for rejuvenation. Take another deep breath in and exhale. And just allow Spirit to be present. You're in a beautiful, safe space. I want you to imagine that there's an energy circle around us, huge, and the color is gold. And in that energy bubble, it allows you to do all kinds of work within, knowing that you are protected and safe. So in this time, I ask you to focus within. Where within you is that place of religious rules? Where within you still resides the should not, the sin, the unworthiness? Look and scan throughout your body. Maybe it's in your mind. Maybe it's somewhere lodged in your heart energy field, or lower in your gut. And when you find that place, I invite you to have a conversation. What is the need to hold on to these beliefs that no longer serve you? What is blocking you from letting go and stepping into your power, your divinity? Take a moment in the silence to hear the answers from within you. And at the sound of my voice, take a moment to thank yourself for this conversation. And I want you to remind yourself that all these rules were put in place to protect you. That's why it was installed, to keep you safe. Now remind yourself, you no longer need that safety net, and allow that energy to just dissipate and integrate into all parts of your body, into all parts of your energy field, into all parts of your soul. And allow that false belief to be released in love, in kindness, in appreciation. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. And feel the chair beneath you. Bring your consciousness, your awareness to this safe space, this time, this sanctuary. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. You may feel a little woozy or a little kind of wonky from this. Know that that's okay. You just did really hard work just there. You just dislodged something. And that makes us feel a little wobbly at first. But this is good stuff. Really good stuff. Namaste, my loves.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, James.
So now is our opportunity to give, to make all of this happen. The learning, the sharing, the love shared. And it's to support our spiritual community in all of these ways. And for us to experience the power of giving and receiving with our offering. So we collect our offering a little bit differently. So we don't pass a basket around at the end of the service. We have folks who stand back at the doors who will collect your offering. If you're not giving it in these ways, through PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, you can do it online. So if you wish to do it that way, that's great. And if not, you can give cash or a check. So let's go ahead and say our offering affirmation. In this moment, I am grateful for the abundance I have. Grateful for the spiritual manna I received today. As I give this financial blessing, I see it supporting this community in unlimited possibilities, and so it is. On August 27th, Reverend Shree will be talking about life after death. And I know I'll be there. Not life after death, but I'll be there. Well, I'll be here with life after death. Okay. So how do we cope with the impermanence called life? As we get older, do we fear the approach of death? At Celebration of Spirit, we will start the conversation about death and our eternal soul. On September 10th, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., access the Real You workshop. Brian Kurtz will lead you through a simple exercise in which you will learn to distinguish between your thoughts your brain is generating and the real you, the authentic you. From this place, you will be guided through processes that will open you up to lovingly connect with yourself and others around you. Registration is $75 at eventbrite.com. Brian will also be giving the talk during the service on September 10th. I've experienced him talk. He is phenomenal. So it's worth the $75. Actually, it's worth more than that. Yeah, he's just an exceptional speaker. and his content is amazing. So today after service, after the prayer for protection, please go to the foyer. We want to take a group photo of all of us. Please make sure you turn in your release form. We will be using the photos for marketing and social media.
James, we're going to stay in the sanctuary for the photo.
Okay, we'll be in the
Thank you.
sanctuary. If you all would take a moment to pray for the folks in Maui who experienced that terrible fire, actually a firestorm. Let's just take a moment to send our energy and our thoughts and our loving care for them. Alrighty, please show some love to Kim Pellini and all of our musicians as we end our service with song.
This song is about manifesting greater in your life, and it's not just the attitude of believing, but actually saying it out loud so that it affirms that intention into reality. And so, please keep that in mind as we're singing this song, and sing it with us so that your voice can be heard out loud, manifesting greater into your life. Better days are ahead. Our greater days are ahead. Put your hands together. Stand if you like to.
Better days ahead. I'm living in the promise of God. A new day is here, and I am afraid. Expectation. Better days ahead. I'm living in the promise of God. A new day is here, and I am afraid. Expectation. Got a new perspective.
a prayer for protection, and then everybody will come up and we'll do some photos, yes? Yes. Okay, great. Ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a fabulous week, everyone. Come on.